nuance as to how you kind of want things to go. So the pitch, if you will, is a jazz age Harlem Renaissance meets Great Gatsby, Midsummer Night's Dream. So I'm interested in incorporating live music, hopefully collaborating with, well, I don't know too much about like the music department here, or, you know, maybe if some of the dorms or students are like, you know, experiencing that and want to offer the services. But like working together and collaborating to make live music happen during the show. Typically would happen like during the spells, like we'll have modern songs, but kind of like revamped in traditional 20s and 30s, you know, like outfits. So I wanted to play you an example. This is Queen Lady Gaga, Bad Romance, set in the 1920s. And this is probably one of the songs we'll do. Just like a little, literally like a little taste of an example, but super fun. We're thinking super upbeat, fun, glamour, but still like flashy with this production, and trying to find ways that can incorporate like a little, like an eardrop of modern while also, you know, sticking to the 20s and 30s kind of fashion, and so. In our concept here. So we want to imagine that Titania is like the jazz chanteuse, sort of. Her and Oberon, who is like basically Cap Calloway meets Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby. They are gods who inhabit this cotton club kind of speakeasy. So essentially, they have conjured this entire story just so they have the platform to sing and write their songs and dance and, you know, play with humans as their playthings. And yet, throughout like the course, we see that they're kind of having power struggles and they bicker here and there. Titania is like a Lena Horne, kind of like jazz chanteuse type, to where she doesn't want to be controlled. She doesn't want to be bothered. She's a self-made woman. So she hates when Oberon tries to control her and tells her, you know, what to do, what to sing, about the changeling boy and things like that. Puck is actually a human who is given like a spell, and in our production, spells would be like hooch, you know, they're like moonshine that you make in mason jars back in the day. That was like illegal, but everybody had it. But so he takes like some of the hooch and he gets the visibility of the god, so he can see them for who they are. And because of that, Oberon kind of makes him his little henchman, and, you know, and the rest of the story follows. Then we have her fairies. It's sort of like the Cotton Club dancers who she's just kind of, you know, willed to her will. We have Philostrate, who's one of those carnival barkers. So, you know how they had those huge megaphones, like extra, read all about it, but it'll be like club promoting kind of. So that's kind of what Philostrate does. Aegeus owns the Cotton Club speakeasy shop. Hermia is like a wealthy debutante, you know, with the little finger wave, and like she's real rich, and she wants the bad boy who is Lysander, and he's one of a radical poet. So his poetry is kind of like Claude McKay, kind of like that, like very visceral kind of writing. Versus Demetrius is like a really acclaimed, like simple, laid back writer. And Helena, she's the bookworm. So she's like, no one really pays attention to her because she's not as glamorous or the debutante like her friend is. And so we kind of get like caught up in their love and have our whole story as they go throughout. Oh, and then bottom is a busboy in the speakeasy. So he's a busboy and like a mechanical. And basically his whole thing is like, he's not really a performer, but he's just really talented. And so in the Rude Mechanicals, like everyone's not really
Pause for a
talented.
second?
Oh yeah, yeah, and just sort of how they Bottom gets like caught up in this whole world because he's a busboy and she takes to him after she takes the spell, and all of the spells are either songs, perfume, or hooch. So just to like celebrate the moment and the time period. And the mechanicals are busboys and waiters. I said that. Now some of the scenic designs, we can talk about that. So really minimal set, which is basically like these panels that I imagined are almost like three-dimensional panels, maybe about, no, I didn't get to see the ceiling. Is the ceiling high in there?
Pretty high.
Okay. So I was thinking maybe like 6 to 7 feet, kind of like panels that are three-dimensional that have the city skyline like on them, and they're on wheels so that you can wheel them around and change them. Like if they're in this position, it's her home. If they're in this position, they're in the club, just things like that to help illuminate different areas without giving too much set, because I know how extra set can be. And then this is also just an idea. It's a moon. I'm a terrible drawer, but it's a large, kind of like a wooden structure that we can turn either way. One side can be maybe gold, other side can be white. Just an idea to give like when magic is at play versus when normalcy is happening. There's that. We have little things here like kind of like past these things. So we have a glass bottle with candles inside them for the candles. Candle holders will be like empty wine bottles. And of course cafe tables with like the gold fabric on them to symbolize the period. One of those really cool vintage microphones for Titania. I got that from the Christina Aguilera video. And of course like mason jars and all that good stuff. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, we talked about a live band, but what could happen is, of course, Titania's the singer of the little jazz ensemble. Oberon can be the piano player, because typically back then they wrote on piano, but it would be like preferred, awesome if Oberon could play instruments or whatever throughout the show. And of course, the rest of the band, there's like a double bass or something, the little drum set, and like a saxophone or something like that, just to give a full little small jazz ensemble. And they play songs throughout the show. Like some of the songs I was thinking about was like Pony by Genuine. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, honey, let's do it. But like a cool little, if you want it, let's do it. Like a cool jazz version. Drunken Love by Beyonce, because, I mean, Beyonce. But modern songs revamped in the 20s style to kind of give a cool feel. Last thing was just the bed where Titania kind of seduces Bottom can be one of those vintage 30s beds, just for them to get on top with a little nightstand on the side. But at its core, that's pretty much it, just to give a rough outline. And of course, we talked about cutting because I would much rather like cut some of the spells and some of the conversations in order to make room for some of the music. And then the music, of course, it probably wouldn't be over than like a minute. But that way it stays kinetic, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Great Gatsby movie.
Yes.
Yeah, but like kind of like that Baz Luhrmann style where everything is just, the pace is like breakneck. We kind of want that for the production, to where it's like 90 minutes all the way through. So that will be the goal.
Animation?
No, I mean if need be, like I'm more than willing to do it, but I think there's something to be said about like really allowing yourself to escape, and then once you know it, it's so quick, you're like, oh, it's over already. Versus intermission sometimes, especially for like the younger college kind of audience, they'll like sneak out or they'll leave, they'll be like, oh, I'm over it. Yeah. But if it's really good, it's one quick breakneck pace, it can support the story too, about like how fast you can fall in love and out of love. And one of the reasons why I was drawn to this era for the story is because one of my like favorite phrases from my grandma is everything that glitters ain't gold. So that's kind of reflecting about love too, is like we think that, you know, there's this kind of cheap, cliche, cheesy idea of what love is. And sometimes that's like control and like manipulation, and it's not real love. So even the gods themselves, they're learning themselves throughout the story that like real love is honoring who you are. It's embracing each other's differences and you know, having a good time. So